The 1369 is a cafe in Inman Square, which is a neighborhood in Cambridge. Kind of a small, isolated neighborhood, intellectual, pretentious, all of those things. And it was the neighborhood that I lived in, that I worked in, and was part of while writing Substitute Culture. What I found was, as I worked at the counter, I became, friends with the people I worked with. We were all about the same age, and we were all apparently posing artists, or at least people who claimed to be musicians, people who claimed to be writers, whatever. And we all worked there, so you become friends with them, and then through them you become friends with the people coming in, because it was the neighborhood coffee shop. It was small, very compact. It was always people sitting on top of each other. Honestly, it was not comfortable on that side of the counter to me. As a customer, I don't know how I would have done there, but people loved coming in, and I loved performing on the countertop as a barista. That becomes a stage for both sides of the performance, and I think you're fulfilling something for them, and definitely fulfilling something for yourself in being that persona.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
You've left your laundry unsupervised. I like the smell of fabric softener, and you've clearly handled some. What can I get you?
I will have a coffee, and
And I would adore a dry cappuccino.
So I was working there and living there, and just began writing about there, because you have a good view of the entire cafe. You look out and you see all the different tables of people. You see people sitting alone, people sitting together. You hear snippets of conversations. You participate in conversations, and you're part of it. And it all, because it's all in that environment, it has a unified sound, it has a unified feel, and it very much is like the set of a sitcom. I mean, I think the more intellectual version would be, you've got the three walls of a stage of a play, but yeah, we'll say sitcom because that's the pop culture.
I no longer for you. I ain't working with this girl no more. Girl, it's trouble. Girl needs trouble.
Step in, Renee?
Yes.
Renee, something's definitely up with you.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Other than just the corset?
Oh, take it off. Are you losing circulation?
No, it's just everything.
Watch your lips. If you start to turn blue, we're gonna shit on a costume change. Oh,
It's more like a back brace. It's kind of
Bliss.
forcing me to. Oh,
So it's useful, practical in some ways, but it's fashionable.
There is nothing practical about this garment.
about a corset.
No.
I think Substitute Culture, at the heart of it, is about this ensemble of personas. It's the alternative crowd that has deemed themselves alternative. The cafe is their meeting spot. They all go in there with their outfits to be those people. Then they go home and the masks come off and they lay on the ground broken, or they sprawl out, whatever it is. But when you go there, you're dressed to be there, and you bring your props and you perform. And that there is something to that, I think, socially, and there's something to that, in terms of lonely people reaching out. Lonely people who have trouble connecting are sometimes seemingly the most social people.
Another cup, huh?
another cup.
We've been here for almost 180 minutes.
My book.
What book?
Paradise Lost.
I've never read it.
It's a pretty good book. Do you like movies?
I do like movies.
I do too. What do I owe you?
$1.
Keep the change.
17C, take shot 2, take 2.
Action.
Action.
I was waiting for it.
I'm sorry. That's
It's okay.
totally valid, and I
Once
apologize.
we're
I shouted
recording,
the
we
other
have a
thing.
clap. It doesn't matter if,
Okay.
if you know what I mean?
That's
but,
what I
that
was
was probably
saying.
my
I'm
fault.
sorry. No, that
Very
was
funny.
totally me. I'm sorry. I said the other thing.
Okay, we ready?
I
Yes.
apologize.
Take 3.
The 1369 was great. It was great for me. I mean, I felt like I belonged to a group, you know, felt like I was totally accepted in the group, felt like I was myself in this group, which is something I wasn't before. I liked the person I was performing as.
Heterosexual bandwagon.
It's just playing guitar.
No. He's whoring sophomore hoot nannies who mistake wearing bandanas for being socially conscious.
That was a well-structured sentence. Have you seen him before?
Well, yeah. I mean, maybe not that specifically grown beard, but I have been in a coffee shop before. I mean, Jamie did take me places.
So working there blurred with living there. You know, I was employed there. I was behind the counter, but it was incredibly flexible in the sense, you had to do your job, and I did, and I was good at it. But I also socialized. I was good at that. So I think how I write dialogue and how characters interact comes from that experience.
Is it that obvious?
Is what obvious?
The girl. Don't point, okay? Don't
Oh, fuck, I
throw
was
any...
supposed to point, right?
Yeah, sorry.
Really quick, I had a note on that question, more is what I meant to say. What's happening there?
It was important to me to film there because it's a real environment. I really know how it feels, and because that was, that's sort of the primordial ooze of the film. It's the origins of the film. It's the Krypton or the crime alley or whatever backstory gives birth. Cybertron. It's the source of these characters, both in writing and in the real world. So I was happy to be able to set it there and try to regain or rework my youth.
Hold on, and okay, I'm set.
Action. That's gonna be a continuity problem.
I know that shop really well. I know how it's set up, and it is set up with almost like little sound stages. You have the main counter, which is where the barista works on, where people order. You have the side of that counter where people sit, and she can interact there. And then you have all the tables. So we had to shoot at the 1369 after hours, after they were closed, after they were cleaned up. And so what that meant on weekdays was at 11 p.m. we could start unloading all of our gear.
Right. I was just thinking if there's some way we could get somebody walking through this to then settle in the wide shot.
I've been doing it. All right.
Would be a great way to get the sense of continuity, which might sell the geography of everything. But I guess we have to count on somebody being here for that.
This shot is on. So I can ask him if he can be here Wednesday. Otherwise,
Yeah.
Because it doesn't just make sense to have him just walk in from nowhere. There's no point.
Well, I mean,
in
you
that.
could, but the point of it would be to get the sense of.
Sure.
No, I mean, one of us could somehow do it. Salty works.
Can I walk in the
Cafe.
middle of this? What's exactly the
Oh,
question?
just
in terms of going from the scene we're going to be filming, which is the beginning of the scene, we'll film that next week, to connect it to go from this to that scene. Originally, I was just going to have someone walk by. Chris is suggesting if there's a continuity of someone who's here who then crosses into that scene. Makes you feel like it's
The thing is, you have to have the same guy with the same clothes tonight and Wednesday.
So, is that a problem?
No, let me go.
Yeah.
So yeah, it had been about 3 years since I had last worked there, so it was weird to recreate familiar moments at familiar spots. There's some scenes where Elfman, the main character, and Kira, the barista, are interacting over that counter. He kind of sits down and they sort of flirt back and forth a little bit, interact a little bit while she's at work, and filming that scene particularly because was so there was a sense of, I don't know, there was a huge familiarity to that sense. The approaching the person at the counter, the back and forth, people coming in. That to me represented what it was like to work there.
Rolling. 49, take 4. Action.
What you doing?
Waiting.
For a girl?
So okay, can we just do it from the beginning again?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
It's waiting, and then she says for a girl, and you're sarcastically, yeah, right. But
Oh
anyway.
yeah, I just
That-
hate that line. No offense to you, Tim, but I hate that line.
What doesn't work with it?
I don't like that. Yeah, right. But I'll figure it out.
Okay.
I'm really in a crappy mood right now. It's got a wicked headache. So anyway, we'll get through it. Ready?
Okay. I liked that life. I liked being like Kira in that sense. And I think when it ends for her, if it is all at all like when it ended for me, she is going to be flailing about.
Well, all right, you
Not yet, though.
you already have the shot kind of set.
Not yet.
All
Let's
right.
get a couple lights up.
That outlet doesn't work. You gotta
Why?
either go to the side strips. It's still shaky though. It's down.
Got it.
Ready? Yeah. I'm gonna move wherever sandwich this is. Right over here.
Tim, can you come here for 1 second?
Can momentarily.
Just 1 minute.
Yes.
So, what is the date today? The 22nd or 23rd of March?
I can almost tell you, I'm not positive, but I think it's the 21st? No, spring was the 21st, is that correct? Today would be the 22nd.
22nd of March. And how do you feel the night is going so far?
Well, I have to say we got off to a start, and as it kept going, no, it's interesting. It's a long process to get the one take, but the one take is a long shot. So what we would have spent setting up other takes. Actors aren't supposed to look right in the camera. I'm really sorry. I should be looking at you.
I'm shooting this damn thing too. I'm acting and shooting.
Also technically the 23rd.
Oh, now? Well, I think when we started the interview, it was the 22nd.
Let's talk to you for a minute.
The cafe exists for you while you're there. Going back to it as a location, you find what you can of it. That life is encapsulated not just in the script, but in 6 years of working there. I can't do that anymore. I can't go back to it. I can't go back to living that way. And now it seems so distant that it's good to have this film, I think, which is a fictional representation. It's not autobiographical, but I can now, with actors acting it, look at a variation, an exaggeration, a cartoon of what that life was like. And now I can be entertained by it. Sad, and I miss it. But that, that environment, that coffee shop part of my life could only exist in that coffee shop. And when I left and came back, it was something else. It was someone else's coffee shop now. It was someone else's space that they had moved in and they were occupying it. It was their set. I'm happy to have had it mine when I did. And I'm happy to have photos and now this fictionalized version of the film. Yeah. For 6 years, that was my earth.
You will become the dirt. Everyone will walk all over you. And then you'll finally know you're feeling well. It's never been in short supply. You need not wonder why you are the factory. Saw you steal a stranger's cigarette, and I saw you fix your hair in an ambulance window. Well, maybe it's too early.
Heterosexual.
Oh, sorry, I was waiting for action. Sorry.
Oh, no, now I didn't wait for it.
That's my fault. From now on, I will say action.
Big mouthful of foamy cream.
Saw it in the movie. That's what they do. I apologize. I threw off the second one. So here we go for real. I'm sorry.
Okay, you rolling?
Yep.
Take 4.
Heterosexual bandwagon?
He's just playing guitar.
No. He's whoring sophomore hootenannies who mistake wearing bandanas for being socially conscious.
That was a well-structured sentence.
I live with my boyfriend. Well, I live with my ex-boyfriend.
Nico and I have found something very special together.
Which is?
The simultaneous orgasm.
You're going to work.
Yes, and I need you to stay here.
No! Because that would be with...
Are you smoking?
I can smell it too.
I guess I feel bad mentioning it.
You've left your laundry unsupervised. I like the smell of fabric softener. You've clearly handled some.
You should ask her out. She'll say some other time, which doesn't mean some other time. It's just polite.
I want full custody of Linus.
Fascist.
What?
I think I said fashion.
You must be heading somewhere.
Not really.
Really? I've just been following you. Do you find her interesting?
You know, your italicized inflection is flawless.
This countertop banter is pretty precious.
I actually want a relationship, alright? You meet her, she likes you, which is fine.
Am I boring? Am I forgettable?
This isn't about you, Jamie.
What's it about?
It's about you.
Any boyfriends?
Nope.
Any girlfriends?
Requisite question.
We are in Cambridge. I actually rarely ever like anyone, which is what makes you a sort of anomaly.
Are you coming on to me?
I just feel like I've done this all before. This whole scene playing around in my head, it just seems so rehearsed. I hit every mark.
We're gay. Faghead.
Suitable facsimile.
Dropout anarchist.
Old Hollywood geek.
Kind of a nymphomaniac.
Subcultural fantasy.
I guess we are only who they say we are.